If someone can show me when Hudson Odoi has done this, on my life I'll stop doing YouTube. Say no more. Hey, Matisse in the building, smash the like button, YouTube ones, man. Hey.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
There's always just that active red flag, defending. I think it's like. There's always just that active red flag, defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. People deluded. I'm back again. Special guest settings. Make sure you're subscribed to Matisse's channel. If you're on YouTube, you just have to click the description. I can't imagine you're not followed on Twitch, but support the man. Them hit up the platforms and things like that. Are you smiling, bro? What's there to smile about with Chelsea? Are you smiling?
Bro, that Hudson Odoi thing is just so funny to me.
What happened? What about Hudson Odoi? What happened? Talk to me about him.
Nah, man.
Pre-assist and that.
Yeah, there's not too much to say on that guy. It seems like he's gonna probably be leaving in the summer. Is where it is. You know what I mean, we move.
You got our next one though, Mudryk and that, man. You know, you've killed the man, not the agenda, boy. We're agendaing for life, bro.
Different types of players, DG. I'm not gonna lie, different types of players. Different types of players. Was you not doing any Mudryk prop? Will I not find you doing any Mudryk?
Bro, Mudryk snaked it. I don't care where. That's why I'm chatting shit on YouTube. And Arteta's the gaffer, innit? He saved us. He knew we were gone. You can't talk on that. So
my days.
Tell Mudryk get his goals up, man. I'm sure Saliba, Lissandro, and Ben White can help him, bro.
But I don't get why this Mudryk, like, you guys have abandoned him because he was.
I'm only on to Mudryk.
He was twerking for you guys on Instagram.
Yeah. This is what did they tell you in life? The hoes are not loyal. That's why I'm onto him. If he just got his move to Chelsea, cool. But you was doing the twerking, Arteta the gaffer, this, that, and the other. Obviously, Arsenal didn't put the bread down. But that's why I'm onto you. Sign for the Pagans. If you went United or City or somewhere, I would have left you. But you joined Chelsea. Even if you joined Spurs, I'd have left you alone because I would have plucked your a dud. But yeah, man. What do you actually make of Mudryk? Because banter aside, I actually feel it's a bit harsh. Anyone that joins your team right now is going to be kind of stifled in an attacking sense. It's not happening. I'll give him the luxury to next season. Obviously, if Arteta wanted him, he must have been assured that the guy's good. I think he'll hit the ground running next year. I hope not. But what have you made of Donny so far, man? What's gone right? What's gone wrong? Everything, man, because you're watching him week in, week out.
I think for me with Mudryk is he definitely needs time. You know what I mean? He's come to a new league. I never really saw him as an instant impact anyway, because when I looked at the player, I didn't even know too much about him. I was for sure he was going to you guys, 100% certain.
I think everyone was really. It was rubber stamped at one point.
I was like, this is no need for me to do too much, research on this guy. He's playing in the Ukrainian league. He's had a couple of moments in the Champions League here and there, but he hasn't had a CV to warrant the price tag. He hasn't had a CV to warrant the level of hype that he was getting. And I was looking at him as another player that's coming in, and I'm looking at the scouting team thinking, you must know what you're doing, and we'll see how it goes when he comes in. But I'm not looking for him to be an instant starter. I know the price is high, and that's why people are expecting big things, but I haven't got any expectations of this player this season, to be honest. I don't know enough about
disappointments, they say.
Yeah, that's true. But he shouldn't even be starting, bro. Like, Sterling is a better player. Felix, for me, is a better player because I just know him. I know him a lot more than Mudryk. And so we're only playing with three up front. He's not going to play up a striker. He played striker against Leicester, and it wasn't for him. Yeah, he played up front against Leicester. It didn't bang. For me, I think he only played up there to make the runs off the ball, and because maybe defensively they're not sure about him getting back into certain areas. We've seen a few games where he's not really tracked runners where he should. But some people who watch Shakhtar Donetsk frequently will tell me that's not a problem going forward, and he can play cam and he can play. So I don't know. I've only known him to play left wing, and I know he still needs developing. That's what I can see.
I mean, like I said, banter aside, like you said, for me, I'm not watching him all the time. He looks like one of them confidence players. He looks like he's been taken aback. He's joined the Premier League. It's not happening for Chelsea at the moment. Expectations, etc., etc., etc. He looks a bit like a confidence lad. He looks like one of them. If he finds a run of form, He'll keep flying when it's not going right, like it isn't for your club at the moment. It's not going to happen for him. You kind of touched on it. He's played up front. He still needs to define himself as a player because, as you said, you know, unless you're Ukrainian or you're watching Shakhtar Donetsk, if you claim that you've known about this guy for anything longer than 18 months, you're probably chatting mad shit, really and truly, because it's a cap in it. And as you said, today's day and age, and better yet, as you know, it doesn't matter how good or not you are. If you've got potential and you're the next this, that, and the other, and teams are interested, you know, you lot got him. Brentford were the first team I saw linked. We were onto him. You're going to go for big money, really and truly. So I think he will get it right. Obviously, I have to keep applying attacks because I don't think a single attacking player at your club is thriving as a neutral watching. So it's almost like if you join Arsenal right now, it might have worked out for Mudryk. It might not have worked out. He might be doing exactly the same stuff as he is right now, but he's parked off on the bench. We're doing what we're doing in the table. So I think it is harsh to kind of write him off. But again, you've signed the 8-year deal. You signed big boy contract. There'll be a turnover. So again, you'd imagine that you lot get rid of a number of players. Where are you at with that as well, man? Because you lot got more players than we can count at this moment. There's bare forgotten, man. Clearly, it's a transitional period. Who needs to go for you? What do you make of all of these players at your club? Because the training sessions are a madness.
Yeah, squad's way too big, bro. Like nobody wants to deal with 35-man squad. Not on FIFA when the emails are coming in. Not on Football Manager. None of these games, bro. Do you want to be dealing with 35-man squad? There's always going to be that. What's that thing on Football Manager? They go to that little thing there where the unhappy player comes.
Yeah. And they start talking to the rest of the squad, and then they're vexed at you and all these things. Yeah, but you can't have that many players.
Nobody wants that. So it's not a desirable thing. I think everybody knows the ballpark is 22, 25-man squad, something around that 23.
Some might even want 20.
Yeah, exactly. So depending on how many competitions you want to go for, I just feel there's got to be a big trim down in the summer for me personally. There's got to be a lot of players leaving, a massive clearance. Lukaku when he comes back.
This is what I'm talking about, bro. I completely forgot about Lukaku.
When it's a revolving door. When he comes in,
man, I forgot
back out, bro. Straight back out, bro. I'm at a point with him, where there's people slyly trying to entertain it because we've got Enzo Fernandez and against Leicester, he played some brilliant passes. Maybe a striker now can have a successful
Doesn't matter how good them passes are. You can't control it, bro. It's a myth.
Can't be Lukaku. Bro, from an environmental standpoint, global warming means a lot to me, fam. Can't have this man in the ecosystem, bro. Can't have him in the ecosystem, bro. He can't be at the club. He's like that toxic.
That's a good one still.
He's like that toxic ex. When they get talking to their friends in the group chat, Sky Italia. It's Kalas. It's over, bro. You're finished. There's no coming back from that.
He's too chatty, man. You lot clearly got bare leaks at your club. He will leak bare things as well.
100%. And Potter, doesn't matter what emotional intelligence degree you've got, you don't need to be dealing with that. You don't need to be pushing it to the nth degree, literally. So I'm not trying to see him back. Revolving door for him. Hudson-Odoi, like you mentioned in the intro, I think it's over for him too.
Is that footballer or is that Stewart? I don't know, man. I don't know them, man.
He was linked with your team. Be careful that
that's why Nelson's here, blood. We don't need them duds, bro. I'll probably get a look in at Arsenal before Hudson-Odoi, man. Our star boys, he's got no self-awareness.
I heard Arteta took a shine to him. Arteta might come in for him. I heard he liked him a little bit.
I mean, Arteta's a good manager, but he's not a miracle worker. He's gonna need a lot. It's not too late to apply for Love Island or go on. What's that show with young Fillion that does the shoe fit? It's not too late for him to be influenced. It's not too late. It's not too late. I don't know for his agent. His agent's his brother. I think that's a grown man with Kane rolls, so that tells you everything with the decision making of them dons. Way I can't lie to you.
For me, he's gone. Ziyech is gone. Pulisic is gone. And I think Pulisic's decent. I think he's got something to him, but he's been here long enough now, and it's not worked out. I think he needs regular game time. So I think for his own career, he needs to go. His dad's always got something to say about the minutes he's playing as well.
He's chatty, blood.
Very chatty. Then when you go through the team, it looks like
Kovacic.
Cover's contract's running out, but I saw a report today that he could renew. So I'm not really sure what's going on with Cover. He's been given the captaincy's armband. Yeah, he's been captain for the last 3 games, bro. So it's like, as much as people talk about letting Cover go, he's now significant, he's massive significance, and we just let Jorginho go.
Sorry to cut you. People want to let Chelsea fans, because obviously, you're not the spokesman for Chelsea, but you're the closest I get to chatting to Chelsea. People want to let Kovacic go because I'm having him at Arsenal tomorrow if he's on it. I can't lie to you.
I've always rated Cover very, very highly. The only thing that I talk about with Cover that I understand people mentioning is his injury record. He's very susceptible to injuries, same as Kante. But for me, Kante is obviously a lot older, and his mileage is ridiculous. He's covered every blade of grass. So I can understand where his injuries have come from. But if you're talking about the footballer cover, I think he's still in the Chelsea fan base sometimes very underrated. And it's only when he comes into the team and starts dropping performances again where people are like, oh yeah, cover.
What he's on.
But it's so easy to rub him out. And I keep having these conversations, these debates with people. Do they not understand what a good footballer he is? In that, Man City will take him as well. Man City, if they're losing Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, yeah, they'll take someone like Cover 100%. And he'll go into that team next to Rodri and do well. I just think with Cover, he does things in the game that just at Chelsea for some reason it just doesn't seem to get his flowers. Whereas at other clubs, Man City, Arsenal, I think you guys would absolutely love players like this.
What do you mean by that? To someone who doesn't know what you're talking about.
First phase, definitely first phase. Press resistant. Carrying the ball from first phase to second. Yes, he doesn't have the goals and the assists that people are looking for, maybe from a midfielder. But it's funny. People want to look at Liverpool's template, and then when it suits them, they don't want to look at it. How many midfielders at Liverpool get GNA? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't get it. There's GNA can come from other parts of the team. Now we're using wing backs. Look at the forwards. The centre midfielders in that
coming
too.
from everyone, isn't it? Xhaka
exactly.
and Odegaard's tick still.
Yeah.
I think different out over here.
Yeah. It's a sticky one. But yeah, for me, like, even if he's not a regular star, I think it's important to have that kind of quality in the team because you know what you're getting. But we obviously do need a DM. We do need, like a Partey or Rodri or Casemiro. But I wouldn't be so quick to get rid of Cover. I wouldn't mind him signing on, but he does need to stay fit though, because availability is an important ability. So yeah, he doesn't seem to get the love he needs or deserves, but it is what it is.
Playing devil's advocate, and I don't think this of Kovacic, because you question his hunger. I only say that because the man's won what there is to win at Chelsea. He's been at Inter, he's been at Real Madrid, he's been on the scene for a minute. Transitional period, he's worked under some elite gaffers. It's a transitional period for Chelsea. Is he looking at it like, Italy's got nicer weather, I might be able to go here, go there? Who is Graham Potter to me, really and truly? Is his hunger? Because I do think I actually think that with a lot of the Real Madrid players. I think that with a lot of the City players. I think Arsenal might get there one day. You have to question the hunger of these players when they've been there and done that. Do you feel, not just Kovacic, to be fair, like there's a couple of them dons there kind of just coasting at Chelsea?
There's definitely big question marks on mentality, bro, because the season that we've had, you have to question it. Like, it's been appalling. And I think he was one of the names mentioned that weren't too keen on the whole Tuchel sacking, and in comes Potter, and I've worked with better managers before potentially, and all these things. So it could be a factor for sure, 100%. It could easily be a factor. If he wants to go, then I'm never going to say that we need to keep a player that doesn't want to be here. I don't really care who you are at this point. If you as a footballer are not motivated to play for Chelsea anymore, then there's no problem for you to pack your bags. I have absolutely no issue with that, because you can be replaced. But if he wants to be here, or if then I would like to keep him. But you're right, he could easily not want to be here as well. That could easily be part of it.
Going back to Mudryk, do you think Arsenal made the right decision at this moment in time? Obviously, not playing whatever they wanted for him and losing out to Chelsea with obviously Trossard. And what have you made of Trossard at Arsenal?
Oh, bro. I mean, Trossard has been ridiculously good, man. Ridiculously good. I mean, that last game against Fulham. I've seen
William do that, so Trossard keep doing your thing, but
yeah,
he's sourcing. He's different.
Do you know what is with Trossard, right? Is that it was always envisioned, okay, you needed a Martinelli competition kind of player. Mudryk would be that. But then when you look at Trossard, this guy can play down the middle. This guy could play off the left. I wouldn't be surprised if he could play off the right. He's just a very good footballer, and his finishing, we've seen it already. Both feet,
he can shoot at the club, in my opinion.
He can shoot with both feet, but this crossing with the left foot thing, very unpredictable. Because I watched your game against Sporting as well, and I say the one thing with Nelson is that he couldn't cross with his left, so he wasn't as unpredictable to go both ways.
On that favoured foot and fashion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trossard, there is no favoured foot. It seems this guy, if you let him go off to his left, he's picking out Odegaard. He's crossing it from corners for Gabriel. It was an exceptional performance. He's one of those players that could actually give Jesus long-term problems, where Jesus will have to maybe go and look at Saka, but then you're not getting ahead of Saka. So, because Trossard can do the middle ground, I think. He can get the goals that Nketiah got, but he can also do the link-up and, the other side of the game that Jesus was doing. He's kind of the blend of both, is what I'm seeing. So, and Martinelli's in form as well on that left. So, I think Trossard could give Jesus a run for his money properly, and Jesus could have to be on the bench like he was at City. It's problems. It's competition. This is what it is.
I love to hear that. That's something Arsenal have been lacking, really. Genuine competition for places. Like Benjamin White. I think Benjamin White puts it right. Every time he's interviewed, he sits there, bro, and says, you know what? Arteta's made it clear. You're not doing your job. You might not play. We know that as well. When, like you said, and I think when we go back to January for Arsenal, obviously because of the, you know, the amount of times we're linked with Mudryk, the flirting, the Ukrainian Neymar, all of these things, it did to some fans feel like a bit of an underkill. You're going for Trossard, he's good in that, but it's not really a shiny new toy. And I sat there and a lot of people said, I said, listen, it might not be a shiny new toy, but for us, it helps us tick along. He's Premier League proven. It's one less player that we need to watch out for, because Arsenal fans, we've seen him source us. I think there's a lot that the younger players could learn from. I think he'd obviously have that hunger, whether it was to move to Arsenal, Chelsea, what he was also linked with, in Spurs, he would do all right. Obviously, he's a high IQ player. He fits in with the talent ID. And I like how he's a bit different. What you see is kind of what you get. He's already gone through his sort of education. And one thing that I liked as well, even it extends to the lad we bought from you, Jorginho. A lot of people, Arsenal fans, were saying, yeah, they complement the squad. It increases our depth, which is true. But I very much doubt definitely Jorginho and Trossard, who went to the World Cup. You're not going to sit there and want to be on the bench. You're going to want to play games. So, and they've taken their chances. I'd say Trossard's had to probably be a bit more patient. He played against United, did all right. And like you said, he's doing his thing. And indirectly, Trossard could be bad news for, you know how you mentioned Jesus. It could be bad news for someone like Balogun, who's doing his thing in France. Yeah. You've got Trossard now. You've got, whether Balogun's better or not, you've got Eddie in front of you. You've got Jesus. Martinelli could do a thing. I personally would like another striker or someone that's a bit of a different profile. But I can't not be happy. Obviously, there could have been a reality where we signed Mudryk and he's doing exactly what he did at Chelsea, or, you know, he probably would have thrived a bit better, or Trossard could have signed and gone elsewhere and not been good, and the jury's still out. But I think the biggest compliment I can give Trossard and Jorginho is that you look like you've been here since the summer. What have you made of Jorginho? What did you make of Jorginho's move from Chelsea to Arsenal as well?
I think with Jorginho, he's always going to have people that kind of take it too far with him in terms of, you know, overrating him to the nth degree, where he's like one of the best DMs in the world. And
I mean, he finished third on the Ballon d'Or list.
Yeah. That was a good day. That was a good day. Are you guys claiming that? Yeah. Are you claiming that?
Yeah, of course. Shameless FC settings. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Because I remember when me, you and Rance were talking about that.
I don't remember that.
You weren't really too happy about that.
Officer, I don't know. No comment. Where's my lawyer?
and then obviously people disrespect him way too much as well and pretend like he can't even play football. This guy is a very intelligent footballer. When you have the physical limitations he does, and then you can perform at the level that he's performing at in terms of Premier League, winning the Euros, Champions League, that means your IQ is very, very high. And he's always been in amongst it for tackles and interceptions in close quarters. If you play an expansive game like Liverpool, he will get absolutely fried. He will get cooked. But if you give him options off the ball and the team is ticking, and this, I call it factory football, where you guys are playing with a conveyor belt. Every action leads to another action. Everybody knows what position they should play in. When Saka cuts in, Odegaard gives him the overlap. Ben White gets involved. That chemistry on that side is serious. Zinchenko knows to tuck in, make it a free out. Like, it's just everything just goes like that seamlessly. When you put him into that environment, like what Sarri had at Napoli and at Chelsea, towards the back end when we played you guys in Baku, I've got to mention that quickly. Just give myself some
I must have been asleep to that. I don't even remember what happened at the bridge in the Prem. I don't know. Happened in Baku. Where's that? What's that? We don't talk about Emre's time here. It's different. Skip over that, man.
I hear it. When you give him them factory football settings, he, as you've seen, the progressive passing has been on madness with the passing forward and picking out runners and whatnot. So he's one of them players that I don't think you want to have over a 38-game season in the Premier League, because there are going to be games and challenges where you go to a Brentford or you go to a Burnley.
Struggled against Everton in the first half. I mean, Arteta said he's ill. I don't know if he was genuinely ill of saving the man, but yeah, man, other than that, he was quality.
There's games where set pieces, long throws, you don't want him in them because he's not going to help you. Like, that's the thing. He's not actually going to help you in those situations. All he can do in them situations is he only knows one way of playing. Get his foot on the ball, get things ticking, kind of like Pep, and keep possession and come and receive it off the centre back. Yeah, exactly. And come and, start to control the game from that aspect. When you're now going up against physicality, or you're going up against transition or counters, he's not going to help you in that situation. So he's one of them players. He's great to have in the squad. Pick and choose when you use him, but you got Partey for a reason for most games, because this guy can do a variety of things. He can handle the combat, he can handle the physicality, he can handle the transition, the recoveries, the turnovers, but he can also get his foot on the ball, play it in between the lines, get a goal or two. So it's just about having a more well-rounded DM at my club, because that's what we need. But for you, you're bringing him into a situation where you've already got that guy, so now you're just giving an extra filler squad depth-wise. So it makes sense.
To the depth And that's where I'm at with it. I think, I think Arteta's been a bit cute and clever, not just with Jorginho, but with the addition of Jorginho, with Partey, who's contracted until 2025. So within the next 12, 18 months, we've got to make a decision with Granit, with El Nene. I think, I think a lot of Arsenal fans would like some upgrades in midfield. Me, the same as well. I would like that number 8 to challenge or eventually replace Xhaka. I would like someone that if Partey isn't there or to give him competition. But I think some Arsenal fans think we can just rock up in the Champions League, get rid of the whole bunch of the squad. Not that there's a lot, and it is what it is. We need that experience. And I do think in the next 12 to 18 months, I don't know if it will be Caicedo and Declan Rice and all of these guys, but I think that's the next step for us. What have you made? Because ironically, you're probably the best person to talk to. It seems like you lot have been winning the beef, really, or maybe we've been pump faking, but we're linked with the same players 9 times out of 10. What do you make of Declan Rice, his future, him as a player, where he ends up, and obviously the same for Caicedo?
Declan Rice, I mean, our fan base have been infatuated.
Yeah, the Brexit Chelsea fans for years.
For years, him and Mason, best of friends, getting that leadership in the team as well. There's a lot of former academy player. There's a lot of reasons why people want Rice outside of just what he does on the pitch, which what he does on the pitch is very good, but also it's the intangibles that people are looking to as well. But ever since the Mason Mount negotiation started to go left, and it's now more likely that he'll leave than he'll stay, from what I see and hear, not only is that making us less likely to get Rice, because Rice is looking at these contract negotiations thinking, doesn't seem like as if that's going too well. Maybe I don't want to be involved in this whole restructuring of the wage bill, incentives for Champions League. If you don't make Champions League, a lot of our players will be dropping in base.
So you can get more P's and that.
Yeah. So, with a lot of the new contracts we've tied up for 7-8 years as well, that puts the player in a weak position in terms of renegotiation, because we don't need to renew your contract in 4 years' time. He's still got 4 years left. What would Rice want that? Probably not. If we drop out of Champions League, his base will be lower. Probably doesn't want to go for that as well. So there's a lot of new things that we're bringing into the way we manage our wages to bring our bill down, as well as having to do a massive exodus of players in the summer to bring the wage down properly, that he's not going to like. And I think, when you look at Arsenal, you guys, Arteta's already, I know Arteta's already been in his ear. Do you know what I mean? It says exactly what Arteta would want in a player. He brings the right intangibles in terms of some leadership, in terms of experience, and in terms of covering that Partey and Xhaka position properly. Because now you've got someone that can do both. He's already shown he can go as a kind of box-to-box midfielder and carry the ball well, switch to play, maybe contribute with a few long shots here and there. And he's also shown that he can sit when Souček was going forward and crashing the box and getting headers. So he's filling multiple roles. And he's of the right age. And obviously you guys are one of the youngest team in the Prem, isn't it? So he's ticking a lot of boxes for you guys. I think for you guys, you've put him higher up in your priority, even though you went for Caicedo. But I think
seems like he's the number one, and then if we do something else, we do something else.
He signed a new contract as well, didn't he? So I don't know.
It makes it more techie for everyone. 60
Whereas
grand
Rice,
now, which is still peanuts for him, really.
Yeah. Whereas Rice is not signing a new deal. He's just not going to do it. Like, he's done. He wants to leave West Ham. I think that's evident in the way he spoke after one of
last
the
year
defeats
as
well.
with the option of another year as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So and Chelsea, I don't think he's number one target. I think Chelsea they have him on a list, but they also have other targets that they'll go for as well. There's Lavia at Southampton we keep getting linked with.
Oh, he's sexy footballer, bro. You need to get that done, bro. I hope you don't. Joe Shields is a madman. He's great at his job. He's
the link.
Techie baller, blood.
Yeah.
Techie. And I think Southampton are doing the right thing in going to City, stealing a couple and whatnot. Obviously, when you look at Declan Rice, bro, we both know he's going to be overpriced. We're in this market at this. It is what it is. We overpaid for Benjamin White. He's doing his job. It doesn't really matter. Do you think Declan Rice is, obviously with the exception of his contract, worth that 75, 100 mil? Because I agree with you, tenacious, captain, think he's better blessed technically than people give him credit for. But when you look at the 8 and the 6, I'm more likely to think he's going to take Partey's role. But I do think, like what you said, Arteta might flirt with him in that Xhaka role. But playing at Chelsea or Arsenal is going to be very different than West Ham. Like, he's going to be on the ball a lot. He's going to be a lot more front-footed. When you break it down, how much do you rate him technically and on the ball and all of that sort of jazz, really?
I think for Arsenal, first of all, is I think he would make more sense if you played Tierney and you overlapped and you brought Rice back maybe a bit in line with Partey a bit more. Because I think if you play Rice where Xhaka is and you keep tucking in Zinchenko, I think you could probably play someone more creative, like a Smith Rowe or someone in that role higher up the pitch. It makes more sense, in my opinion.
That man might eat off that with Declan, Zinchenko, and Martinelli. That's a way of looking at it. Still,
But I think when he's looking for that flexibility of putting in Tierney, who's going to overlap, then Rice is more than willing positionally to track his runners, to come back, to deal with transitions, to come and win the ball back, and that's where he takes up that position and allows Tierney to go further forward. For me, in terms of rating the player, I have some questions, because for England, he gets a lot more time and space than he'll get in the Premier League playing as that 6. For West Ham, they're not a ball dominant team.
You're just in the trenches at West Ham, with all due respect to them. It's just a fighting thing.
Exactly. And I think for me, the only question I have on him as sitter is not what he does off the ball, because I know he's going to shield, I know he's going to win the ball, I know he's going to win his aerial duels and all that. He's going to track his runners. My question is, when is he going to show up in receiving the ball in the right places? This can be coached as well. So this is why I don't really have a massive thing against him, because he can be coached, but he's going to have to be coached in how to receive that ball in those spaces in between the defense and the midfield, and have the bravery to receive it, because that's one of the hardest things to do in football, I think. That first phase where Jorginho loves it, it's where he's born to come and
especially when you make a mistake as well. Do you have the confidence to do that again?
Yeah, if you make that mistake, bro, it's
in the champs the other day.
Exactly. If you make a mistake in the first phase when you're receiving it off centre backs, when you're getting pressed, and we know what the Premier League's like, nearly every team is pressing now. You got to scan, you got to have 360 vision. You almost need a drone in the sky to know what's going on.
You need to know what's going to happen 10 years before you get that ball, really.
Exactly. And if you make a mistake in that area, in a ball dominant team and you keep receiving it, and you make mistakes, it's going to cost your team. So that's something that I haven't seen him do often enough for me to be like, oh yeah, he can handle that, a Jorginho type pressure in that moment. I know he can switch play with both feet. I know he can shoot from distance. I know he can carry the ball. I know he can, track runners, and he can win the ball back. That's the one thing, that first phase, I haven't seen it often enough for me to be completely sure.
That's a great opinion. And for me, the one luxury I'll give Declan Rice is, I remember, like, there's been 3 players I've fought for on my YouTube channel. I couldn't understand. I'm not saying Ramsdale's amazing, but I remember telling fans, just chill out a bit. I know he's been relegated, but you're moving like he's mad shit. I told Arsenal fans Lacazette would never score 20 league goals for this club, and I told them about Pepe. I go into Ramsdale now. As much as I'm not going to say he was, as I said at the time, if I was looking for a goalie, he wouldn't have been on that list. I wasn't screaming to sign him. I just thought he was a decent player. But the one reason I mentioned Ramsdale is because Arteta's talent ID. I didn't know that Ramsdale, maybe you don't get to show it being at Bournemouth or wherever he was fighting relegation, but I didn't know how good you was on the ball. I'll give that luxury to Declan Rice. If Arteta has, assuming we signed him, if he's got that fine eye and Declan Rice signs and I see a lot more on the ball, that's the one thing I'll give him. What I would say is it's got to work in it, because it's not West Ham. With the amount of, all due respect, if he goes to Chelsea or Arsenal, the dynamics are different. We're trying to accomplish things and whatnot, and you're going to cost a lot of money. What do you make of Caicedo?
Caicedo is a very good player as well.
He's and the 90 million alleged fee.
The thing is, I believe that if we scouted, we could find alternatives at a cheaper rate. I really do. I don't think either of these 2 players are worth the amount of money being put on their head. And it's funny because Caicedo came to Brighton for what, 3.5 million, 5 million?
Peanuts, bro. Peanuts.
And it's like, I just don't feel like we have to pay that kind of money. Even Enzo Fernandez was overpriced. But he was one of those players where I was like, do you know what? He's so unique. And I think against Leicester, we saw his passing. There's very few players out there where I'm like, they're going to just enhance the creativity to a new level. And I've been so desperate for creativity at Chelsea for years now.
You're talking about Odegaard?
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. I can't lie. He balls out. I can't lie. It's a shame. It's a shame what happened. Even Saka as well, man. Even Saka.
Hey, man, I try to tell you, man. We make some real demons over
here. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. But that's the type of player that we've been lacking, bro, is an Odegaard. The amount of times we've had strikers come here and fail, and partly because of their own limitations. Timo Werner, technically for me, quite limited, one way or no way. Lukaku, first touch being dodged, but also because when they make the runs, we don't spot them because we don't have either the confidence or the application to play the pass. It's one thing seeing it and then having the confidence to play it, and then when you play it, actually getting it spot on and not overcooking it or undercooking it.
Being able to do it again.
And then some people don't even see the picture. So he sees the picture. So he was so He was one of them players that were going to go to Real Madrid in the summer. If we don't get him,
he looked it. He
goes straight there.
He actually looked like he could have went Liverpool if they had the bread. But yeah, Enzo's a baller, fam.
I was like, just overpay because I need this. I need this talent in our club because we desperately lack it.
You lot need to get him and João Felix. Sign João Felix permanently. I think he'll defeat all the allegations. Felix looks wavy in this shirt, in this Chelsea shirt. If I'm honest with you, I'm kind of vexed he's at Chelsea. I hope he don't sign permanently for you, man. Absolute baller, fam.
But with Caicedo's and with Rice's, as much as I think they're very good players, I wouldn't overpay. I wouldn't overpay for them because I do believe that if you scout properly and you look into the market, you're going to find alternatives. Probably could find an alternative for Enzo, but I was like, you know what, I don't care. But with this position here, I do think you can find alternatives at a cheaper rate. So I would be looking down that route of trying to scout a bit. And like you said, you've seen Lavia, you've seen loads of examples, even Kone at Mönchengladbach.
Wavy guy, man. I always talk about him wavy.
Yeah, there's loads of options out there, bro. So I'm interested to see what we go with. We've also brought in Andre Santos, a young player as well. So we've got to be a bit careful.
Man. The work permit shagging him, but he actually looks a baller, agendas aside still.
Yeah. So we've got to be careful.
And that's the thing, man. You mentioned it especially about having bravery. I remember when you lot lost to Spurs. I don't think it was just his fault, but I remember Enzo Fernandez kind of messing about with the ball in a key area. And it could have been from a corner. It could have been when Skip hit that banger. But he's done it again and again. And I'm sure Chelsea fans won't forget it, but they don't care now. Because as you said, you're mentioning, what's happening in days to come. So he's an absolute baller, man. I would say Enzo looks like the one signing out of all them Chelsea dons and Felix to a degree, excluding the fact that he's on loan, that's actually looked like he's cutting the mustard. What have you made of your signings between summer and January? Who's done good? Who's done bad? Who's the jury still out for? What's going on there?
I think the only one that is flat out just move him on is Aubameyang, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah. I mean, it's funny enough with him. I don't think I've come to a point now where I'm not even really annoyed with. I'm not really annoyed at him because he's not done anything wrong.
Shouldn't have brought him in the first place.
Exactly, bro. Like I wanted Jesus, and it's like people look at Aubameyang's finishing. Obviously, he can score the goals, but does he take away from the creativity? And
100%.
My thing is with him is that, yeah, he's very limited as well. Do you know what I mean? He is a final touch player. And it's like with a club at the time that was struggling with creativity issues, bringing a forward that can get involved in the build-up, that can take a man on, that can give you something from a creative standpoint to kind of kill two birds with one stone, because you're going to create more chances with that player. And yeah, they might not be as clinical, but I'd rather create more chances than have to rely on someone exceeding their XG like this is Tottenham, because that football tends to be extremely boring. Do you know what I'm saying? So if you're going to struggle both ways, you may as well make it interesting. May as well play some good football. May as well have someone help yourself. Yeah, press from the front. Jesus, take on players. Get assists. Make it fun. If you're gonna be not winning a league, which is what it was looking like for us after them signings, then at least make it fun. But yeah, we should never have signed him. Koulibaly, he was on the peripherals. He was on the fringes because we got a lot of centre backs. But
he looks half decent, but generally he's mad. Yeah,
last couple of games he stepped it up. To be fair to him, in the middle of the back three, he was very rash, getting a lot of needless bookings, but he stepped it up. So he might be surviving it. But Sterling, I've never really gone back on him. Cucurella, I've never gone back on him. They haven't been great, but I have no doubt in there.
You still got faith in Cucurella? Because for me, he's done all right recently, but he's shaky, and that was Graham Potter's done. Sterling's a Gaza man, so I'll always support him as much as he's playing for you lot. And I think, obviously, with Sterling, you know what time it is when you see a man operate off the right-hand side. Like, that's not him. He needs to be on the left, running in behind, doing what he's doing at City. And kind of what we said at the beginning, Chelsea are not thriving as a football club. No defender looks wavy. The attacking looks meaty. So everybody's kind of got to be afforded that indirect tax, in my opinion. I'd keep faith in Sterling. I think Sterling's wavy. As I said, Sterling, Felix permanently, see what Mudryk can do, couple other things. The transition, this time a year from now, it looks very different from Chelsea. And I think too many, as much as we banter each other, I think fans need to understand this is going to be a regular theme for all of the top six. In the way everything's touching and turning to gold right now on couple with you lot, and people are using that, for example, with Declan Rice signing for our clubs, things can change in a blink like that. We're quite fortunate is that we committed to this project that we're doing, and we're a couple years ahead of it, and everybody else, you lot, Liverpool, Man United, slightly maybe even City, they're all on transitional periods. That's why I want my club to take advantage of it, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. Cook, the context with Cucurella is that he got, apparently now the report came out, he got burgled early on in his Chelsea career when his wife was expecting their
That man,
next
Caicedo got
child.
punched in his face. He still was moving
That-
wavy.
but that might
got robbed. He's still playing wavy.
unsettled. New club, unsettled, and
People get robbed every day, B.
Yeah, but you know, it hits different people in it differently, so he's not settled. So I feel like that's partly why he hasn't been maybe performing, is because he's not being settled off the pitch. For me, the guy played so well at Brighton. It was way too early for me to be saying. I know he's overpriced. Yeah, he's overpriced, but the guy played way too well at Brighton for me to be thinking that this guy's just lost all of his ability. It didn't make any sense. Last couple of games, he's picked it up. Some of his passing has been immense. So long may it continue, hopefully. Long may it continue. When you look at our defensive options, they're brilliant, honestly. Silva signed up. Koulibaly, if he keeps playing like this in the free. James, Gusto coming in from Lyon. You've got Chilwell. Ian Matson's doing brilliant at Burnley. He's coming back. Levi Colwell. Levi Colwell?
No, he's wavy. He's wavy.
Ian Matson? You don't know Ian Matson? Ian Matson's
he's wavy as well. Yeah, no, they're good young players. I just have to run agendas. Like, I've got my eyes and ears everywhere. Like, them Cobham boys are all right.
Fafana's been playing great,
bro. Yeah. Right, go on. Let me let you finish.
Fafana, Badiashile. So, Trevor, there's a lot of centre backs.
I don't know who Fafana is. I know about Saliba. I don't know about Fafana, but he's meaty. He bought the wrong French centre back, man. He's just different. That Benoit guy is wavy. I don't know why he's lost his place in the team. I know he's young and that, but he's someone I used to buy Football Manager all the time. He's quite wavy still. Obviously, he's young. So yeah, man.
Yeah. No, we got good options, man. Good options back there.
So you mentioned Cobham, and I was going to ask you it later, but like Mason Mount, this contract stuff, Mount as a player. 1 minute he's linked with Liverpool. You've heard United and City are involved. Obviously, people could just be making things up, but where are you at with Mason Mount as a footballer? Where are you at with this contract stuff? Do you think he stays? Do you think he goes? Where are you at with that?
I've always tried to defend Mason Mount's ability, because I do feel like right now he's very easily disregarded as a bum, right? No ability, no nothing. And I always say, well, he would never have got to this point if he had zero ability. Now, do I think he's regressed? Definitely. Not even stagnated. I think he's actually regressed now. And I think partly because not only his need to want to play every game, he's kind of sacrificed his position almost, because he just wants to be on the pitch to help.
Like for England.
Yeah, to be versatile, to come and play left forward, to play right forward, to put up the GA last season, and exactly a master of none. And what he should have been mastering was his craft, which is midfield free, and trying to be an 8. And that's where he was at Derby. That's where he was at Vitesse, and he's playing brilliantly. And that's what caught the eye in the first place. And when he got his first player of the year, that was the position he was playing in a lot, and he was brilliant. And second player of the year was more on statistics and GA, and the performances dropped. And people that were watching really understood that the performances dropped in that second season where he got the player of the year, that third season. And this season he's been awful. Now, the thing is with him is that I'm not really too bothered either way, because
I didn't think you'd say that, bro. I know you don't overhype the Cobham boys, but you've got an affiliation to them to kind of keep.
Yeah. Do you know what it is with me? Yeah, I've learned a lot from this Hudson-Odoi thing, brother.
I won, but at what
cost? Football is a game that you just can't predict anything, bro. Every Chelsea fan after the 2 player of the years would have said this guy's gonna leave. He's gonna stay at the club for his whole life. He's never gonna leave. He's gonna be a legend.
Mr. Chelsea and that.
Mr. Chelsea, bro. He could be going to Liverpool. We got Felix. Like, that's something that happens on FIFA, bro. It doesn't even make any sense. And it's like, I'm at a point now where I'm like, if you go, I've seen better leave. I've seen Hazard. I've seen Lampard. I've seen all these top players leave. You're not those guys, bro. You're not those guys. You can be replaced. The narrative was always, we can't play without him. You know, lots of people tried to create that narrative. Without him, we'll never win a game. He's absolutely integral to the team, and
just imagine
all of the intangibles.
James is integral. I don't know about Mason Mount being that.
And they say the same thing with Kante. You can't play without him. You know, I said, what are the other teams in the world doing? Because they don't have him. Real Madrid don't have Kante.
What are you going to do if he does the Casemiro thing and gets a straight red? He's out for 4 games.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. No player since Messi and Ronaldo at their peak, and maybe people now come with Mbappe, but for me, he's not the levels Messi was at all. No chance, not even a conversation. No, these are the only 2 players that you could say are, you know, untouchable, where it's like, yo, if they're not in the team, if you have to keep a hold of these players. Like, no way.
slightly extend that to
Ain't
Haaland.
ain't nobody gonna be able to sit here and convince me that if Mason Mount leaves Chelsea, Chelsea Football Club is finished and can never progress and can never.
You
move
know,
on.
you might miss it. You might think what could have happened, but all over, throw your toys out the pram. That's stupidness.
100%. We will
Reece
move.
James left if I was honest.
Yeah, we will move, bro. Literally, like a couple of days. Okay, cool. It's just weird, but we'll have to move on. And the same thing with Jorginho when he went to Arsenal. It was weird. I didn't like it, but we have to move on. So football's it moves fast. And at the end of the day, the contract's on the table. I understand why he's not signing it. It's 180k apparently over 6-7 years. I can completely get why he wouldn't sign that.
Swear.
You know? Yeah.
He's in a position to leverage that a bit more, especially with the new things coming into the club and whatnot.
Exactly, bro. And it's like,
is he worth anymore? Chelsea have to make that decision, man.
It's a standoff because he'll feel his performances in previous years warrants to be one of the top earners. I can't disagree with that. I completely understand. The new board will say, well, listen, your performances right now are poor and you're not starting and we're trying to bring the wage bill down. So it's two people going up against each, and I completely understand both sides.
You buy an ex-Don who's wavy, no one cares, really.
Exactly, bro. And it's like, people talk about Felix versus Mount. It's not really Felix versus Mount because Nkuku's coming in anyway. It's Enzo Fernandez.
You lot got too many players, fam.
Look at Enzo Fernandez, bro. Yeah, you even forgot about Nkuku coming in. That's already done. It's already done. Like, it's green light finished.
Yeah, Romano said that about 10 years ago that it was done. Yeah, man.
But done. Look at Enzo Fernandez. That level of passing that he's bringing to the team, and it's something that has been question of Mount for a long time. Vision, spotting the pass, not overcooking it, not undercooking it in open play. Can you give that creativity to the team? Right. Can we play through you? It's always been a question. And then you take him out and you put Enzo in there and you can see you can play through that player. So then what does Mason Mount become after that? Does he become the player that plays next to him and gives the industrial work? Well, Gallagher's more than happy to do it on half the contract, off the bench, and stay at Chelsea.
Take any minute he can, really.
Take any minute he can and do a similar job. So it's like you're starting to become a player that is not really 100% integral to the team. Now you're just a rotational piece. And I've looked at this happen before. Tammy played in his first year, starter all the time. Then you tried to make him into a rotational piece. He was like, hold on a second. I scored 15 goals. I play every week. Why am I rotating? Some players can't handle being a rotational piece, especially when you like bigged up your brand. And
that's where we're going to be with Balogun next year. Not that I think it's the same with Tammy, because Tammy went on loan for a few years. Can you really blame the players? Like, you've been playing, you don't want to sit on the bench.
Right. It's not good for your PR. It's not good for your brand. It's not, football's now all about PR and branding and off the pitch and numbers and socials. It's not good for Mount to become a rotational piece after winning 2 Player of the Years, going into the England team, starting under Southgate. He's not going to regress into a rotational piece. He's not going to want that. So I can understand from his side why he would want to maybe go to a Liverpool in a team that suits him. Klopp suits him to the ground. Start for them. They're reshaping their midfield, and you go again. So for me, the player is overrated sometimes and underrated.
There's essentially no balance when
there's no balance with the player. There's still things he needs to improve as a footballer, but he's not a scrub. And I think if he goes to Liverpool, he'll show that he's a very, very good player.
I think he tries too hard. I think that's the only thing. He does that Bruno Fernandes stuff. He tries too hard to take the club on his shoulders. And I like that. You should have to do that, but it's all about balance, really, really and truly, if I'm completely honest.
He's become very GA focused.
Yeah. Exactly. Very GA focused, man. We've got a couple of questions. Well, we've got a lot of questions for you because there's bare questions. We're going to go throughout them throughout the course of this. But I've been airing this super chat. One love C for this one.
Oh, did you freeze? You're still here? Okay, you're here.
I don't know what happened there. Technical difficulties, but we moved. Yeah, sorry for that, people, man. Big up yourself, C, for the super chat. He said, Deluded and Ma, what's your advice about an aspiring journalist like myself? I'm going to university in the fall in Oklahoma to pursue a broadcast journalism. Also, when will England win the World Cup? I can't tell you when England win the World Cup. My personal advice for journalism, not that I can have that. I would actually say, because a journalist said that at an event, have a YouTube channel, have some content. For me, I would say think outside the box. And don't put never stop networking, because I'm pretty sure in all aspects, there's probably an elite journalist who's great at everything, story finding, but his stories are not out there. And there's probably mediocre dons who are out there. So that's what I would say personally. Love for the super chat. What would you say to that, Matisse?
Yeah, I definitely would say the traditional methods are dying somewhat. Obviously, you can go to the big hitters, the newspapers, and best believe it's not what it looks like in terms of the dream. There's quotas to hit, there's views you need to account for, you need to hit certain targets. Sometimes they make you write things you don't want to write, pieces you don't want to you don't want to put out, controversial headlines that you don't believe in, you have to put out because we need to hit certain quota for the month.
Amen.
What you need to be doing is, I agree with you, get a YouTube channel. I think Ben Jacobs is a prime example. He's a journalist, but he's done it in a very different way. He's coming onto everybody's YouTube channels. He's speaking, not just articulating with his writing, but also speaking about what he's reporting. Right. And it's gravitating a lot more people to him. And you could become a journalist that doesn't only write, but
as well. I'd say that as well. Throw that into him as well. Yeah.
Yeah. You could easily become a journalist that is not just writing articles, but is actually speaking on, not just YouTube channels. I'm talking about TV companies. They could invite you to come and speak, to give knowledge, to give your information on platforms like that. And everybody's always taking that information, via their ears before they go and read something in the modern era anyway. So there's different ways to do it. I would definitely be creative with it. Don't just go down the traditional route completely. Obviously do that, but make sure you got something for yourself as well on the side.
Exactly. Think outside, think inside the box, outside the box. Do everything traditionally, but untraditionally as well, is what I'd say. Next one, Matisse, are you worried with the financing? Pulse Abramovich, not being against the man, but financial institutions, if you don't get success in the near future. Obviously, I don't know what that means, but that could be in relation to your spending, the 8-year deals and stuff. Do you feel that stuff's sustainable?
I do trust these guys because they've run a sports team before in the Dodgers. They didn't become billionaires by being stupid, innit? They must know the finances. They must know the rules. They found the loophole for the 8-year, 7-year contracts. And then obviously UEFA come and shut that down. So they must be clued up on what they're doing. And that's why the wages are to come down if we don't make it. And I'm sure there's all these little clauses and whatnot. But they do need to get in there because, listen, when you spend this kind of money, regardless of what you got financially, there's expectation. And Champions League football is an expectation that we need to be hitting. So, yeah, regardless of if they've got the finances wrapped up or not, I expect us to be in the Champions League with this kind of spend.
You mentioned you expect you to be in the Champions League. You lot
not this season.
Oh, you've ready. So what do you salvage from this season? One's clearly going as far as you can in the Champions League. What do you man? Let's talk about Chelsea. What do you salvage from this season? How much of this is to blame with Graham Potter? Are you Graham Potter in or out? Where do you lot go from here, bro?
Salvaging wise, bro, you have to try and win the Champions League, but I'm taking it one round at a time. I think if I had a manager on Tuchel's level in terms of an elite level manager that had been there and done it, not someone who's not tried and tested at this level in Potter, who's in the Champions League for the first time, I'd be saying that Chelsea can win the Champions League. But right now I'm taking it round by round because
two's enough, man. Come on, please.
Man,
whenever you lot are bookie in the league, that's when you lot start winning these things. Oh my days.
But this time the mentality of the team is in question, and when it wasn't with Drogba, Lampard, and all them guys. And then the other time we had an elite level coach who had got to the final the year before with PSG and lost to Bayern, and he made the system. And this time we have a team that we're trying to put a system together and a new manager who's never done it before. So we don't have either or. So I haven't got the same chest of us going all the way. But I will say that each round at a time, and it's literally 5 games, bro. It's 5 games.
I heard you say that on a video that Rance clipped up, and I thought, you're talking facts.
Two draws. I think
you said something. Yeah, you said something like that. 2 draws and a this, and we're there, and
that's all it is. 2 draws and 3 wins, and you're champions of Europe. So, but yeah, it depends on the draw. The draw is obviously on Friday, so we have to see who we get before we start getting excited. But in the league, I think a Europa League place minimum. You should be aiming for top 6. Top 4 for me is not happening. I've run the mathematics. We ain't catching up.
You proper reckon. What's the mathematics? You proper reckon it's done. It's hopes,
done.
Yeah, but it's proper done now.
Yeah, not happening. I think we've left ourselves way too much to do. One, because I know we're going to still drop points in the future. I think the max amount of points we can get now is something like 73.
You're 3 points away from 40, though. Safety in the league, though.
Yeah, safety, bro. 100%. I'm more than happy to be in the Premier League next season, bro. Trust me, so humble.
I think you're being a bit harsh, man. Chelsea. I mean, obviously, like you said, there's not that many games left, but you lot have played 26. That's a game in hand on Spurs. You've played a game in front of Newcastle. Spurs are on 48 points. You're on 37.
The reason why I don't see it is because Say the average came down to something like 66, right? We still have to win most of our games. And I'm looking at it. We have to travel to Arsenal. We have to travel to City. We have to travel to Manchester United. We have to play Liverpool at home. We have to play Newcastle at home, Brentford, Brighton at home. We have to play most of our games are teams above us. And what has Potter failed to do at this point? Beat a top 6 team. Still failed to beat a top 6. He's still not beaten a top 6 team since he's come here. The biggest win he's had was that win against Dortmund, which is why I'm not getting too ahead of myself, because I expect us to beat Leicester with a shocking defense. I expect us to beat Leeds at home. Dortmund, we should even still be in the last 8 with the quality we have in the squad. We should be in the last 8. It's nothing to really go too crazy about. He's got to show that he can beat Liverpool. He can beat Klopp. He can beat Pep. He can beat Arteta. He can beat all of these guys. Conte, who's still going to try and pick up his little points here and there. And that's before we even get to the Brentfords, the Brightons, the Newcastles, who are tricks. And then, even before we get to the Brentford, Brightons, and Newcastles, look at the way the Bournemouths are scrambling at the bottom of the table for their points.
I don't want to play no one in the bottom.
Bro, you don't want to play anybody. You don't want to play.
We got Palace on the weekend. It's not an easy fixture.
You don't want to play these teams that are scrambling at the bottom of the league, especially away from
anything
home.
From 12th to 20th is political right now.
100%. Sneak in a little Bournemouth away, 12:30 kickoff, and it can go left. Look what happened to Liverpool. So for me, there's just no chance we're going to get it, because I just know we're going to drop points in some of these games, and it's just too much for me to expect us to go on this stupid run, which is what we'd have to do, a stupid run. Everybody else above us on top of that drop points. We got to take points off them. The funny thing is, taking a point off of Tottenham, Liverpool, it's not enough. You have to beat them. You take a point off these teams, you're not getting top 4. You have to beat them. We have to actually take a deficit. It's a deficit from them we need. We need them to drop points. So we have to beat these teams in their own backyard, and then we will potentially catch them. But that means I'm saying must wins against Arsenal, Man City, United, Liverpool. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, in the Premier League, it's an absolute. When you put it like that, you've left yourself with a lot. Big up my YouTube channel members. James has said, Matisse, would you take Trossard over Mudryk? Not trying to be funny, legit question. He ain't hit the ground running, but there's a very high ceiling for that kid.
Listen, Trossard right now, obviously, is the better player in this league, right? So if I wanted instant impact, I'm looking at Trossard, but I'm fine with Mudryk. Like I said, I don't know Mudryk too well.
Good, man.
Yeah, I believe Mudryk has something there. I don't know the player well enough, but I can see the work that he's putting in off the pitch. The mentality seems to be right up there as well, and there's obviously something to him. So we're building for the long term. So it doesn't make sense for us to even have too many instant impacts, because we're not ready to instantly impact. Do you know what I mean? We're out here building for the long term. So same thing you guys did. You built for the long term, and then you started adding the experienced pieces on top. That's what kind of we need to do.
And writ off several moments. I wouldn't say writ off the season, but we did things that at the time were unpopular. It was kind of thrown in to the fans. It looked like a thrown in the white towel. Like, you got rid of Aubameyang, didn't really bring anyone in. We, at times, like, I look at one thing I liked about this January, because we've learned from our mistakes. We brought in Trossard and Jorginho, regardless of what we think of the players. Last Jan, we didn't. Them lot down the road brought in, I believe, Bentancur and Kulusevski. On top of all the other variables, it gave them a boost, really and truly.
Yeah.
So I can fully understand that.
I wouldn't swap them, honestly, because I agree with what you said earlier. If you put Mudryk in that Arsenal team on the left flank, 1v1 where Martinelli plays, and you give him that responsibility in that system, I think he does very well. If you bring Trossard into our mess when we sign Mudryk and you put him straight in, I don't think he plays how he's playing right now. So I think I'll just take the trust with Mudryk long term, and like I said, I think the signings make sense for both teams, because you guys need to close the league and we need to build. So I'm fine.
And I think the thing with Mudryk is, I'm the one concern I have for Mudryk as an Arsenal fan is Edu and Arteta, mainly Edu. You didn't get the first target. That's the man that Arteta wanted. Whether it was good or not, walking away, it didn't get done in it. Happy with the alternative, but it didn't get done. If Mudryk keeps playing the same way he's playing now for Chelsea and he never develops, then I might be looking at us a bit funny. And also, again, Trossard's only 28, so you've still got a number of years, and the way he plays, he's not necessarily reliant on pace, but Mudryk would have given us more longevity and probably tied in. Arteta probably considered, all right, if he struggles in the first 6 months, I probably know how he's going to work for us in the next 3, 4, 5 years. So yeah, there'll be another Mudryk of some sorts that we're all scrambling over. So I was disappointed, but it's a good backup to get Trossard. Clearly, he was on a list. He weren't the first. Obviously, he was beefing Brighton. We took advantage of the situation, just like Jorginho. Sometimes you have to sit there and do that. So what's your feelings on Graham Potter? Are you in or out? Do you give him somewhat this much of is this season a free hit for him of sorts? Because to be fair to him, he has come in, following where Thomas Tuchel winning stuff for you. Obviously, there's been massive turnovers in players and all of these things. Me personally, as a neutral, I would say if I was a Chelsea fan, I still want Potter gone, because regardless of any of this, when you think of what Graham Potter football is, I don't know it. Like, with Arteta, I'm not saying I was, knew Arteta was going to do this, but I was a fan of his because you could see players were letting him down in what he's doing. I'm a neutral, but I don't necessarily see Graham Potter's brand of football, but it's better you say, because you're a Chelsea man. You're watching this day in, day out.
I think there's a lot of black and white when we say in or out, and I never liked it. And even when he reached my breaking point, which was Southampton, I said, listen, you need to resign. I never ran around saying, oh, Potter out, because I don't enjoy saying that. It's not something that I take pleasure into to completely, because even when I said against Southampton, you need to go because you've reached my breaking point and you look like you're going to take us into a relegation battle, or you're going to take us into we're already in a disrespectful position in the league. We're still in 10th and we're on +1 goal difference. That is a joke, right? But he was looking like he was going to take us into the bottom half, and you can't do that. My stance on Potter hasn't really changed because I will maintain I never wanted Tuchel sacked in the first place, and I never really vouched for Potter because we didn't even get a chance to even look at what managers we would want to replace Tuchel because he was hired within 24 hours.
So with Potter, in it to take him to
so with Potter, he was always having to prove his point, and I think that's where I sit. Prove your point. You're in the grey area. I'm not completely Potter fanatic, and I never was, and like, oh my god, Potter's going to be the next Alex Ferguson and he's the right man. I don't know that. I'm not on this side where I'm like, it's all Potter's fault, even when I wanted him to resign, because I know that the squad is too big. I know that there's other issues, there's context. Yeah, I know there's context to why he might not be performing, but like I said, you must get results. If you don't get results, you have to leave. And what I always maintained on my channel is no matter
especially
where
at your club as well.
Yeah, exactly, bro. And what I always maintained on my channel is wherever you sit or wherever I'm sitting in terms of my thinking with the manager, I can understand all of your points of view, because this manager is unproven at this level, and he wasn't showing any life. What's happened to Potter in the last couple of weeks has come from him being on the verge of being sacked. This was not the same man that we saw a few weeks ago.
Even
he wasn't playing
conference. He's vexed.
Yeah, he wasn't playing this formation. He wasn't connecting with the fans, which some people really, really care about. I'm not too bothered, but he wasn't bringing this "we must" mentality into his tactics, his in-game management, where he was bringing on Gallagher, making it a 3-5-2, or and really shoring up
the last 9 minutes against Spurs, man. Bringing on them attackers with like 9 minutes left. He's moving mad.
His substitutions and in-game management wasn't making sense. Now he's really trying to get results, and why has that happened? Because he's under pressure. So
players are turning.
Pressure makes diamonds, innit? Do you know what I mean? He was on the verge of being sacked against Leeds and Dortmund, and that's where he decided to change his outlook and really go into this must-win mentality and become very pragmatic in some of his approach. And that's what we need you to do, because you must win games. So right now, Potter still has to prove his point. He's 10th. He's 10th in the league. We got Champions League now in the last 8. Prove your point. And then ideally, what I've always wanted for him is to, at minimum, clear the squad. And ideally, my rule of thumb is to always give a manager a full preseason and a full league season campaign. That's the ideal situation for me to judge someone. But we wouldn't get to that point if you kept losing and put us into the bottom 6-7, because you would have to be sacked. Now you're starting to recover it a little bit. And I say a little bit because there's tougher tests ahead. Now you might get that season, next season, that you should get, that we want you to have. Well, most people want you to have to judge you properly. But like I said, you need to keep getting results, because it's what the form he had and the performance he had against Southampton was a sackable offence. And the run that we had of 2 wins in 16, at any Premier League club, you can get sacked. Not just Chelsea. You can get sacked at Leeds with that record. You can get sacked at Southampton. No matter what the context is, Arsenal, a record like that.
The amount of social media engagements, if that was my club, because we've been, I don't know statistically, but in them sort of things there, it is what it is. It's like, I personally feel Graham Potter's got a lot of quote-unquote excuses that could be given to him. It's not his players, some are his players, the owner, all of that jazz. But at the same time, Chelsea don't give you time. And for me, if I was a Chelsea fan, the one luxury I'd say is, who are we going to get? Is it going to be the other Brighton gaffer? Is it going to be this guy? Is it going to be that guy? And also, Chelsea are doing him a favor. It's not like Pep Guardiola's available. Chelsea are a big club. He's a big manager, mutual interest. Potter's kind of being done a favor at Chelsea. I don't begrudge him for leaving Brighton, because even if it doesn't work out for him with you lot, you'll get them kind of jobs again. He'll probably end up managing England, give or take him or Eddie Howe. So whenever you're kind of doing someone a favor, I can understand why there's pressure. If it was me, like you said, if you keep losing, things are getting mad, I can't see a style of brand of football, then you need to go. But like you said, I'd give you a pre-season. The only thing I would say is you got till September. I'll kill it early. You've got to this season. You've got till September, October. If you're still doing this, it is what it is. At least while there's some multiple games to salvage, really and truly. Personally,
and the thing is on top of it as well is that when we apply the context of to why he's struggling, we have to also go back to the definition of what management is about. If I manage a group of colleagues, if I manage a group of people in an office and one of them is late all the time and it's messing up the performance of the entire team and it's messing up the monthly performances, I can't say that that's context as to why I'm not performing as a manager. I have to take action, right? Your squad is too big. If your squad is too big, then you have to cut some players out. You have to do something. And the squad is still too big right now, but we're getting results. So it just goes to show that you can get results. There's no excuse for losing at home to Southampton with a managerless Southampton in bottom of the table. Doesn't make any sense. Same Southampton that lost to Grimsby. So you have to get some results.
Damn, yeah.
There's no Chelsea fan that's sitting here saying Leeds beat that Southampton team as well at Ellen Road.
To be fair, they took points off us and United and you lot. So I allowed them really.
But the thing is like when you're not beating anybody above you, you have to beat below. If you don't beat below and above, then where are we going? Do you know what I mean? We're in relegation for you. So it got to a point where it's like, yes, I get the context and I'll use that to defend you for so long, but you have to win some games. No Chelsea fan is sitting here saying you must win 10 games in a row. You must win 7 out of 10. I think even in 15, if you won 5, drew 5, lost 5, it would have actually, you would have had a little bit of...
It sounds mad, but I see where you're going.
There's what I'm saying.
It's a mixed bag.
But bro, two wins in 16?
That's sackable offense. Other managers have been sacked for less than that. Some managers have been sacked when they've got a much healthier record than that. I'm saying.
Like his form literally had us just above the relegation zone with his period in charge. Tuchel salvaged a significant amount of the points as to why we weren't in 16th, 15th. I will never regret thinking that as a breaking. That's my breaking point. I'll never regret my breaking point. It's like, say someone cheats on you and that's your breaking point. And someone says, no, you got to trust the process. They won't do it again. They won't do it again. And maybe they won't. And maybe you'll have a happy relationship. But that's the breaking point. Do you know what I'm saying? I'll never regret having that breaking point. It's now up to Graham Potter to prove that he can be in that job and can handle the magnitude and the pressure. Because let me say one thing to finalize. There will never be a time at Chelsea where you don't have problems. If you think that everything's going to be rosy, you're never going to have it. When Lukaku comes back in pre-season and you have like 5-6 extra men from loan that come back and now you have a squad of 40.
And then you got a couple new players like Nkunku and that, maybe Santos if he gets a
Gusto.
permit.
And then
you might not be able to get Gusto. You might not even be able to all the, as you know as well. Just because you're already selling player doesn't mean they're going to be gone, innit? Because they're not on good wages.
And then you got a squad of 40. What are you going to say then? Oh, pre-season's not going well because we got too many players and now that's why we started slow. There will always be an excuse for every single manager as to why they can't perform.
But so let me ask you this:
you must perform.
Go on, continue saying. I'm going to ask you something because it kind of what you just said there made me draw parallels with Arsenal, bro. Do you think they fully back Potter? And I say that because I do think they do. They've given him money, but I look at Arsenal where two different structures, rightly or wrongly, Arteta was allowed to freeze out Aubameyang, Guendouzi, Mesut Ozil. You know, they kind of backed him when we lost our first 3 games. They kind of backed him when it was wrong. And again, we're still not over the line. I'm not saying we're the massive success story, but it just when you're committed to your project and what you want to do, you know, when it rains, you got to go through the mud. There'll be sunshine, and it looks like the sun's shining. Do you think you lot are doing that for him? And do you think Potter is maybe being a bit too safe? Obviously, like we kind of touched on, you go there, you've got players that have played at internationals, won stuff. You don't really want to trip on anybody's toes. Arteta weren't really on that, and there's been other managers as well. It's like if you don't fall in line, you're gone. Can he do that at Chelsea, really? Or do you have to play the game?
Oh, I think he's got the backing from the board where he can stamp his authority. I don't think it's like other managers where they've had to play the game so much and they have to, you know, kind of watch what they say. And because Tuchel was on an 18-month contract, that's what Roman gave him. This guy's on a 5-year contract. 60 million, 12 million a year, big contract, lots of faith, lots of backing.
60 million spent to take him from Brighton in the first place.
Exactly. And then on top of that, massive spend in the transfer window, plus your recruitment teams come in and your coaches and your everything.
Yeah, it's so red still.
I've never at no point has a manager ever been backed like this at Chelsea. Never. It's never been. You may have had the money spent, but you still had the low contract where you could be sacked or, you know, etc. He's always
12 months away from getting sacked at Chelsea or less than that.
He's had everything. He's gone through statistically one of the worst periods in the club's recent history and made it out alive. But one thing I will give credit to him is that the players didn't turn on him either. He seemed to have still a lot of players on his side because of the way he handled it in the press. Yeah, because he never blamed them and he never, went against them, and he kept it calm, composed. Most managers that go through that run, they start lashing out, they start cussing.
Because that's probably your only other option now, to just get a reaction to start drawing them out. But,
exactly, yeah. But he didn't do that.
Not done that.
He didn't do that. But yeah, I think for him, he's in a very strong position. I've not seen a manager in this position before, I must say. So he should be able to stamp his authority and move people out. Obviously, like you said, it depends on who wants them. It's not going to be easy.
Exactly. Again, smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to Matisse if you haven't already, man. Matisse talking about Aubameyang. What have you? Well, no, he's already spoken about Aubameyang. We already know he's gone in the summer. Don't understand his recruitment. Again, smash the like button, people. Again, Matisse, some other Chelsea fans are there. They share what you're saying with the Southampton thing. Ravi has said, question thoughts on both of your clubs on how they create chances. I know our Arsenal create chances. We create chances all over the field. Obviously, building out from the back is a key part. Our nucleus is Zinchenko, Xhaka, and Odegaard. Then, the Sakas, the Martinelli, they occupy spaces off the ball. And also, it's about, if we play let's just say, who could I use? Odegaard and Saka are playing a 1-2 in and around the 6-yard box. Let's just say Smith Rowe's on the pitch. He'd make that third man run to ultimately try to score. I always say in football, if you want to see what a team is playing or doing, watch them without the ball. So, yeah, that's what we're doing, innit? Pass to death and create triangles and all of that wavy stuff. How would Chelsea do it?
For us, I think it's still based on a lot of individual ability from Enzo in particular. Some of the passes that he's playing is nothing to do really with system. It's to do with him just being a ridiculous footballer. Now, I do think that the formation changes helped in a way because we're not looking to dominate possession as much. I've seen a little bit less possession from Chelsea in recent games and a little bit more focus on when we get the ball, we move it forward quickly, which maybe comes from the security of having that back three and not having so much worry about losing the ball and then transition and counter and people being out of position. We've got more security with that back three. But it's too early for me to judge because we played Leeds, Leicester and Dortmund. Dortmund and most German teams, as we've seen Leipzig last night, more than happy.
Too long for that,
brother. Open sesame, brother. They are opening the doors for everybody back there. 7-0 thumping. Dortmund play a very open game as well, so it's very hard for me to lay down the gauntlet for the chance creation against Dortmund as well as it was good. Leicester, their defense is horrendous as well.
Horrendous. Anyone who doesn't take 3 to 6 points off them, you're on a joke thing this year. Really,
their individuals in their defense are nothing
that
serious.
Fake David Luiz is on something different.
Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting to see our chance creation against Everton at home. Tight pitch. Sean Dyche.
You look at Everton next.
Yeah, at home. 2 banks of 4.
Please. Dicey balls into the box. First and seconds, please. Kalasnis, man. Please. You took points off us. Take points off them, please. Please, Everton.
Because I saw Arsenal play Everton at home and they slapped them 4-0. Was it 4-0?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, 2 in the first half. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you might be right still. Let me verify that. I'm pretty sure it was 4-0. You're right.
Yeah, I think I did a watch along for that. You slapped him, I think. So
yeah, 4-0, bang on.
So we have to come and do something similar. But this is a team that are not going to try and be expansive, not going to try and come out, not going to give us any space. They're just going to sit deep and do nothing. So that's where the chance creation will come, hopefully. And well, it has to, right? So we'll see.
Still. Again, going back to Mason Mount and Liverpool, can Mount do what Ronaldo did for Liverpool? What would his role be, assuming he went there?
I think Ronaldo's a good comparison. Yeah, box to box, left-sided 8, I would say. To be fair, right side or left side 8, I think I've seen him off the right do good things as well. Combinations wise, would he want to come back and defend as much as you would need to with a Trent, as opposed to a Robertson? Probably prefer the left. Can switch play, go back to opening up your body, switching up the play, the half turn that he loves to do in between the lines. Thanks. Get back to doing that. Add some goals into the team as well. So yeah, I think that's a similar role he can do. He's going to work incredibly hard. Klopp's going to have him doing the miles, and I think he'll do very well at Liverpool. I think he shoots them down to the ground. I've always said he does. Do you know what I mean? 4-3-3. They have to get a sitter. They have to get a new sitter because Fabinho is washed.
They need a couple of them. Fabinho looks done.
Yeah.
Midfield looks like it needs some. Well, you can't be relying on James Milner still, whether it's right back or whatever. They need a lot in it, really, if I'm completely honest with you.
Yeah.
Liverpool have gotten away with it for years, really.
Yeah, they haven't invested in their midfield enough as they need to. But I think him in that 4-3-3 in a team that loves to be very back and forth, more space. They seem to always have more space because they're never compact and they're never possession. So they don't play to calm anything down. They're just playing to be hectic. I've never seen Liverpool go into a low block. I've never seen them play possession and dominate possession and keep things calm. They always want to play end to end and back and forth and you go, we go.
Yeah,
that will suit Mason
the
Mount.
champs in the Prem, they kind of started doing that, not low blocks, but kind of having more game management. Liverpool are not doing that right now.
Yeah. I mean, Thiago is meant to bring that to their team, but it seems like Klopp always wants to go back to the rock and roll. It's what he loves. It's what he knows best, and it's how he wins.
Thiago,
It's how he wins.
I think he's an absolute amazing footballer, but how would you grade his time at Liverpool out of 10? I want to say a 6, but that's just a lot of bias because I think Thiago's a lovely footballer. It's probably not that like you play great football, but I was genuinely, when some players sign for certain clubs, I remember feeling that about Paul Pogba at Man United, like, okay, cool. It's game over sort of thing. These guys are lit. It's over. I haven't really saw that from Thiago for whatever reason. Would you take Firmino? Because his contract's running down. I might be entertaining that. Firmino.
Fabinho? Oh, I thought you said Fabinho.
No, Fabinho. He's a free false 9 settings, even though you got too many.
Yeah. Do you know what it is with us, yeah? I think Firmino would have made sense if we didn't have Enzo. But now that we have someone who can really unlock defenses, I want us to continue to try and now look for someone who's going to bag goals because we've already got Nkunku who drops in. We've got Felix potentially if he signs who drops in. We've got loads of guys that want to be in that area that Firmino would be in. Now we need someone at the top of the pitch who not just a goal scorer, but somebody who's a striker. When I say not just a goal scorer, I would love the mold of a Harry Kane. Someone of that ilk, maybe with a bit of speed.
Do you think Harry Kane leaves? Because you mentioned it. Do you think he leaves this summer?
Has to, bro. I mean, if he stays there, I don't know what he has planned for in life. Because why are you going to stay there and win no trophies again?
Then was at United for 2 seconds, won a trophy.
That's what I'm saying. The thing is with Kane is that yes, he hasn't performed in big games, and he's definitely a player that needs to prove that he can do it in the fine moments where trophies are on the line. But I have no doubts if this guy had gone to Man City, he's not costing them a Premier League. He's not costing them a Carabao Cup. He's winning these things.
So many trophies elsewhere.
Bro, he's winning these things. So I think he just needs to get out and go and revive his career because look at Mudryk, look at Bale, look at Kyle Walker, look at all these guys. They've all left. And
Nuno Espirito Santos. I'm sure he actually won a trophy somewhere post Spurs as well, really.
Yeah. So, people always leave Spurs and their life is always better afterwards. So he needs to find a way out, man. Do you know what I mean? Man United are right there. There's loads of options for him. I think
he ends up there, man. If I'm honest.
Yeah. So there's loads of options out there for him. And then people have talked about Victor Osimhen, Ivan Toney. I think Ivan Toney is a very good player, but obviously that betting thing.
They'll price him out of a move, man.
Yeah, but the betting thing as well, he could be out for a couple of years.
Mr. 365, he's long, like he's
radioactive
right now. You can't touch him right now. He's radioactive, man. You need to see how that case pans out, really.
100%. So, yeah, I just want a striker who offers more to the game than just goals. But I do want a striker because now that Enzo's there, I actually feel like they're gonna get the service now, and there's probably more to come.
Then again, you've got Nkunku, you've got Broja, all of these guys. What do you make of the futures for Amari Hutchinson, Lewis Hall, Broja, by the way?
It's tough. It's not easy. I mean, Lewis Hall looks like a very, very good talent. Played really well in some cameos, but his position, where is he going to play? Because he was playing left wing back. We got Ian Matson coming through. He's definitely more of a natural left wing back. You got Chilwell there as well. Then you look to the midfield where he actually played in the youth teams, and the midfield is clogged. Especially if you go over 2, it's even more clogged in this formation than it would be in a 3. And we've got Andre Santos coming from the under-20s tournament that's on loan at the moment, who's going to be coming in summer. Big player. Carney Chukwuemeka was signed from Aston Villa.
I don't know why he doesn't play all the time, especially if you're writing off your season. Baller. Yeah. Absolute baller that one is.
Yeah. Enzo's there. Kova, maybe new deal. Kante, maybe new deal.
Needs to go yard.
Bro, there's too many players in this position. So he probably will be victim to circumstance. Datro Fofana's another one as well. Broja. Amari Hutchinson, like you said, is probably gonna get a loan in the summer because he was meant to get one on deadline day, but our whole board was in Portugal, so they couldn't get the paperwork done for everybody on the other side. It's a long day, man. It's a long day. There's two. They need to go out on loan, and they probably need to do a madness. But we was meant to be not sending everybody out on loan because obviously the rules with FIFA and whatnot are coming down, more restrictions. But that's why we want the multi-club model. Because if we had a Man City model of only multiple clubs, start Bandulian it exactly, and Fugazi nonsense where you're sending everybody out to Chile, send them to Chile,
brown envelopes getting passed the bar,
Japan, Australia. Do you know what I mean? So this is another loophole, isn't it? Yeah, the Chelsea group, exactly. But we don't have that yet. So until we get that, then I don't know what's going to happen for all these guys.
Wait, a couple more questions before I let you get out of here. I'm going to pan over to my comment section. But just before that, Kay, one love for the question. If you haven't smashed the like button or subscribed to me and Matisse, what are you doing? Matisse, where does Tuchel, finish in the Champions League /League if he had this team?
Taking out obviously the context of, like I said, the squad being too big, integrating a lot of players in January, which is not easy to do in a competitive season.
I'm sorry to cut you. This brother is cheeky, blood. But go on, man. Said every time DG says really. If I had some Ray, I would, but go on, bro.
I think Tuchel gets top 4 with this team. If I'm being completely honest, I think he gets top 4. I don't think he walks it because I do think the context of trying to introduce and integrate 9 players or 8 players or 7 players, whatever how many players we sign in January is not easy, and that's a tough period to try and get that done in competitive games. And obviously the squad is too big to work with for most managers, but I do think he gets top 4 with this team, and I do think he gets minimum semi-final in the Champions League with this team as well. And I would have confidence that he can win it. So. But we all know Tuchel is an elite manager, or hopefully everybody agrees with me when I say that. And he's a better manager than Potter, and that's not a crime. Do you know what I mean? We've definitely.
It's not a crime. He's earned that territory. Exactly. He is a better manager. He's been there a long way. He's done bits and pieces, man.
Exactly. So that's if Tuchel was in charge, those would be my expectations. Top 4 and semi-finals of Champions League at a minimum, and could even win it. You never know.
Where do you reckon the Chelsea group will buy? USA? I mean. They would increase their footprint. I think they'd have to do Holland first. Holland, France, easiest places to get around certain things. But like you said, everywhere. Bro.
I think Saint Etienne or someone. We was actually looking at a French team.
What I'm saying, and that helps you get them Fofanas and Salibas and all them guys, man. Like you look at half of these young centre backs. Condé was at Bordeaux. You got Fofana from Saint Etienne. We did as well. These are you got to start looking at these little clubs and moving quickly for their players. Obviously, it's a bit techie because you have to monitor their development. But yeah, man. Do you 100%. Think Potter's system has been it's actually gone. I can't actually see it now. What's that? Now I'm back. Yeah. Do you think Potter's system has hindered Reece James along with his injuries? Harsh.
I think Reece James has got a bigger problem. It's not just Potter, is it? He's been susceptible to injuries for a while. And the thing is, we would love to have him at wing back because what he contributes going forward and back, you just want everything because he's just complete. But it's taxing, and he's muscular injuries are
still Benjamin White sometimes. Like
exactly.
It takes a lot out of you physically.
Yeah. So that's the issue I have with the system long term. Is those 2 players they're heavily relied upon, and they're susceptible to injuries. This is why an Ian Matson and Augusto is coming in from Lyon already, and they'll give that competition and maybe bring their amount of games they play down. Hopefully, do just as good a job when they come in. So yeah, I think with Reece James, it's something he needs to hopefully get overcome. We saw Ian Robin have loads of injury issues here, and then at Bayern Munich they built him into a brick. So I'm hoping that happens.
Captain America thing. Matisse, what 2 players would you take from the Arsenal squad to improve Chelsea? You can't say Jesus because you kept saying like Jesus.
Yeah.
And no Odegaard either because you kind of said we could do with a player like Odegaard. Let's make it a bit.
And then we got Enzo. Yeah. I'm taking Saka immediately.
Oh.
Yeah. I've always been a big fan of Saka, man. Even when he was playing at left back, when he was playing left mid, left wing back, all of these times, centre mid. Yeah, bro. Always. I remember I made a video on Twitter. I tried to take him when he's running out of contract. Do you remember?
Yeah. I'm just fan of him.
Yeah, always. Unfortunately, he's the truth. So I'm taking Saka immediately, and then
Ramsdale, you could do with a keeper still, even though my guy's got ADHD.
No, I'll probably leave Ramsdale, to be honest. He's good, but
he's big. He's great. I like him, but he's big, man.
I'll probably just get a Raya at Brentford or something. Do you know what I mean?
What you forgetting, Gabriel? Don't think I forgot them videos, The centre back. Don't think I'm forgetting, The North remembers,
I hear it. I say Saka and
what about Partey?
Yeah, Party would be ideal in the midfield. It would be ideal. We don't need Zinchenko, but I've got a lot of love for Zinchenko, man. The guy is just so intelligent.
You mean you don't need Zinchenko with that Cucurella brother? He was.
Nah, we don't.
You mean you don't need him?
We don't need him. We don't need him. Look, I mean, we got too many left-footed defenders. It would be an overload. It would be an overload. I think Cucurella could do a similar job to him. To be fair, I think he could do a job like that. I think he could if he was coached. He's got nice passing. His ball carrying wouldn't be like Zinchenko. It wouldn't be stuff.
Yeah. You know that.
It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same. But I think he can do a job. He can do.
Would you take Martinez from Villa?
Nah. Something about him's not right. He's got a few screws loose. I'm not sure about that.
But then again, you got to be a mad one to be a goalie, anyways. Jason, I think I can answer this question for Matisse. Anyways, clearly the man would prefer City to win than Arsenal. I would look at Matisse differently and say, "Is this the same brother?" If he really wanted us,
don't be silly. Don't be silly, brother.
couple more questions before I let you get out of here. Yeah. Francis, big up Francis. He's a couple. Sorry, people in advance, because a couple of the questions we've kind of gone over already. But I'm trying to focus on the questions that obviously we haven't. Businessman sitting and said, "Why are you always hating on United and Arsenal?" I mean, he's a Chelsea fan. It comes with the territory. But I'll let you answer that one.
I don't like anybody, to be honest.
Exactly. Exactly as it should be.
People will say I'm on Arsenal's case. I am, because you're top of the league and I don't want you to win it.
You should be.
People say I'm on United's case. I don't like United. But
yeah, you and Rance always going back and forth, man.
Yeah, people say I'm on Liverpool's case. I don't like Liverpool. I'm not. The only teams that I haven't really developed a real hatred for yet is like Man City, Oil Brothers. I don't have no heat with them. It's only Champions League final where they tried to get too mouthy. Then obviously it was time to cook. Newcastle as well. If they get up there, I don't think.
Man's beefing Newcastle.
No. I'm saying I don't think I'll have any issue with Newcastle, because again it will be Oil Brothers and it's Newcastle, the Geordies. I don't have no issue there. So because I think it's hypocritical for me as a Chelsea fan to come at Newcastle and City when we started it. Do you know what I'm saying?
You reckon?
So yeah, of course, very very much so. Do you know what I'm saying? Very much so. I like that. It's very smart what you did there. But it's true. It's true. Damn right. It'd be very hypocritical. So the beef has to be about something. It can't be about them getting money and being up there, because that's exactly what we did.
Everyone's doing it, really. And even Arsenal, we cry and waffle about being self-sustaining and things like that. And we are, and we're not spending as much as others, but we have spent money and it hasn't worked. And we probably are now in that territory where we probably, maybe not Enzo Fernandez and stuff like that, but we might have to overpay for 1-2 players that are going to improve us, really. And I'm forcing it. But Benjamin White, with 50 million off the back of one Premier League season, that's helped us. Liverpool bought Van Dijk and Alisson for an inflated fee. I'm not sure they care, because it correlated to winning stuff. You have to do that, especially as it's now less of a case of Arsenal signing hella squad players and about finding people that raise the curtains, like Zinchenko, like Jesus. Like, I think this is from the moment he signed Odegaard. I don't think people will believe me, but I tried to tell man that the man's on something.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Arsenal, Liverpool. I mean, that's the original top four, isn't it? Arsenal. I mean, Tottenham goes without saying, but they're irrelevant, But Arsenal, Liverpool, United. People will remember that's the original top four from when it was branded that. And the heat back then: Rafa Benitez versus Jose Mourinho, Wenger versus Jose Mourinho, Ferguson versus the world. That's where the rivalry comes from. London, Arsenal goes without saying. Everybody in my school supported Arsenal. Do you know what I'm saying? Then you go to Man United.
When you returning?
No. No chance. I would sooner take up another sport. I've got F1 as well, I've got my F1 bag is building, so I'll sooner go to that before I ever go anywhere else. You're
following Matisse on Twitch as well, because he does do them F1 watch-alongs.
100. And then go on. So yeah, and then Ferguson. I mean, I'm Man United ever since Moscow. I've hated Man United anyway, but that Moscow shit.
I had to support Man United for that 90 minutes. Shout out John Terry, what a legend.
Bro, that hurt, bro. And then Liverpool, bro, we hate Liverpool. You know what I'm saying?
It's as simple as that.
Champions League nights. Remember them 4-4s and the ghost goal.
Crazy game. We had a couple of crazy Champions League games against Liverpool. Really, there was a time when them games were quite even. Really,
bro. I actually missed those games. But Man City doesn't slap the same, so they'd have to move. Tottenham again move. I want Man United versus Arsenal Champions League. I want Chelsea Liverpool Champions League. These games. Do you remember that season we were all in it together? It was mad. I think we was all in the
man,
semi-final.
When it really used to mean something, man.
Yeah, last 4 all English teams. Those were the days, man. Those Champions League semi-finals between the original 4 was nuts. Crazy.
And now they're absolute thing of the past. Do you think 007 Mudryk will ever be worth the money spent? That's what Jing said, word for word. I love it.
If you're talking about the 62 initial, yes. If you're talking about the 88, we'll have to see. It's tough.
How does he justify? If you said he did, how does he justify that then? Specifically as a player, not winning stuff and just running behind that. What does he do? I know it, but I have a duty to play devil's advocate. Specifically for him to justify that price tag.
GA, bruv. We all know it. Let's just keep it a buck. This is just GA. You gotta get that GA. Now, obviously, if you put in great performances and you create loads of chances and the rest of your team don't finish, then obviously we can see that. But if you get chances, you got to take them. If you got an opportunity to make the right decision and make an assist, you got to make it. It's all going to be in the final third because he's not a player that I want dropping deep like a Felix and getting involved in all of that. No, I want him.
Half his highlights, he's running in. He's on the counter attack.
Exactly, running in behind. So you got to get goals and assists. That's what people are going to be looking at. Same as anyone.
Literally, last one for you, my guy. One love, DG. My question to Matisse is that since he supports a team that has seen the highest and the lowest in the Champions League in recent seasons, how does he think the Gunners will fare in the Champions League next season? For me, just go as far as you can, bro. I'll be happy to see where you lot are right now and on paper, Liverpool. That's enough for me. It's a different ball game over them sides.
Different ball game, bro. Champions League is a humbler, bro. It's a humbler. Trust me. It's not easy. If you get a good group
before at this club,
yeah. I mean, Tottenham got a great group this year, Europa League level group. Then they got a Europa League even level knockout 16 tie with AC Milan, who are 5th in Serie A, and they still dunked it, still dropped out. So if you guys are in it, I'd expect you to get to the round of 16, but after that, man, it all depends on the draw. If you, man, find a Bayern Munich or you find a Real Madrid,
it's long. And this is why what we was talking about earlier, where I'm not saying with these guys it will make mad difference, but I can understand in principle why there is a reluctance to let Xhaka, El Nene, Partey, and obviously Jorginho's just signed. You need to hold on to them guys as much as the youthful inexperience has kind of allowed us, and we're developing a mentality and all of that jazz. As you said, Champions League's a different ball game. We need to hold on to them. That's why I think we're getting to that scenario now, a bit like Tini. Obviously, I'd like Tini to be part of the squad. Zinchenko could lose his form, God forbid, and you could come in, but we made a harsh decision. Zinchenko takes us to the next level. One love, Tini. We need to do all of that as well. We're going to be in problems. So for me, my God, assuming we get into the Champions League, because I don't look at the league table, I just want, ideally, you get out the group in it and then take it from there, because I don't. It's a madness in the Champions League.
This is why the signings like Jorginho, like you said, spot on. Like when you actually look at it from that side of things, they're not just thinking about now, and that's what Edu and Arteta have been about. They're not thinking about now; they're thinking about the future. Even though you see Jorginho as a short-term fix or a short-term signing, think of the value and the experience and the speeches he's going to give behind the scenes pre-match in the Champions League, a competition.
Look at all them away games. Even Dortmund won political for us.
Yeah, like, he's won the Champions League. He's won the Champions League, and he's now going to bring that experience into next season's competition. So, spot on, man. It's invaluable. It's very much needed. You can't just go out there with a bunch of kids, you know, who have never been in it before and think you're going to turn up and just rip everything up. Champions League is a humbler, bro. Trust me.
Like,
and Arsenal fans know that more than most, because
unfortunately, you're right. Unfortunately, like, I've been banning you all stream. We have to hold that, bro. Bro, not even that. The Bayerns, the Barças, the UEFA loaners, even in the Europa League, Atletico Madrid, Olympiacos, the margins for error. Yeah. As much as I like what Arsenal have been doing, there's been a couple of times, you know, if that's a lot. If we take the Sporting game, you don't turn up at home, you make it difficult. That's what we used to do. That's how we went out to Monaco. We'd mess about in the first leg, turn it around in the second. The margins for error go up, so we're going to need to improve a tenfold. Even in this last period, you know, we got a clean sheet in our last game. We've been conceding some cheap goals. The guidelines just get stronger and stronger. Last question, you know, what have you said? Question: looking at Arsenal's nines this season, do you think the positions evolving, so the best thing they can become is a facilitator rather than a pure goal scorer? Yes and no, because as you know, someone like Lukaku, on top of his deficiencies, there's been times he scored bare goals, but people say, but you ain't got general play. You look at someone like Gabriel Jesus, who's a fantastic player for Arsenal City, hasn't necessarily got goals. So ideally, you want the balance, but generally in football, you probably have to be a facilitator. You look at Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, it's dumb because he talks about goals and goals win games, but is being a striker necessarily the most important thing? That's why I say with Balogun, as much as he's got 16, 17 league goals, what's the general play saying? How much has that improved? Because that's how you get into the team, personally.
Yeah. The game's evolved, innit? Because you're looking at, we used to have 10s. They used to be the guys that create a lot of the chance. They're gone. So now strikers kind of have to take up some of that workload and create, because the midfielders
stand still again.
Yeah, the midfielders are all now for box to box defensive work rate. You got to put the defensive contributions in. So that means somebody's got to pick up the bag for creativity. So that's partly what the striker's got to do now, isn't it?
Exactly. All right, what content have you got to come today, man? One love for this live stream. Let them know what content you got to come today, tomorrow, whenever, etc., bro.
Appreciate it, bro. Yeah. All You Can Eat Chelsea's coming out later. A lot to discuss on Matt Law and his approach of defending Mason Mount. Had to kind of call him out. I'm not gonna lie. We had a big three of us.
You didn't mention it.
Well, it's uploaded now, so I'm gonna premiere it probably about 5 o'clock. Yeah, around about that, just before Champions League.
Everyone get their phones and put that in their alarms.
So it's gonna be, I had to raise hell. I'm not gonna lie on that one. I haven't had to do it. And then yeah, and then after that, just Europa League watch along tomorrow, and yeah, back for the Premier League previews and Everton obviously on Saturday, and then international break. So yeah, man, that's
bro. No Champions League watch along today.
No, 3-year anniversary with my girl, so I couldn't do it. Yeah, I couldn't do it. But they're pissed, bro, because you know I didn't do no Champions League yesterday. I was on DR. Today I'm not doing it, so they're like, "Yo, what's going on?" But listen, if the day that I'm doing a Real Madrid Liverpool watch along on a day like that is, bro, I think I'm single.
Yeah, man, you see me, I gotta get to the grind, B.
I need the 50k subs. I'm looking at it like, not really sure it's worth it. I'm not gonna lie.
No, man. Okay, that's what I'll be doing, man. But yeah, like you heard, people, All You Can Eat Chelsea pending on his channel. I can't imagine you're not following Matisse on Twitch. Follow that. Can't imagine you're not following on YouTube. All you need to do is click his, big up YouTube, because you can finally put your name in the title. Just click on his name in the title and do what needs to be done, man. Matisse, it's been a fantastic live stream. Yeah, man. I'm off out quickly, people. So yeah, last one for you actually. Is Matisse doing best of enemy? So yeah, man.
You know what? I'm not. It's funny that people now think I'm gonna be on there every week. I've just come in for a few cameos when the time was right, but I haven't heard about it. I don't think I'm on it this week. I've got a few other things that I've got to do. Formula One's back and whatnot. So yeah, not this week, but yeah, I'm sure I'll be back soon. Do you know what I'm saying? Just wait for the right time. You know what I mean? Wait for the right time. Tottenham won, we won. Nothing to talk about yet.
There you have it, blood. Like you said, man, make sure you're subscribed to the man. Make sure you're following everything. You lot stay safe, stay blessed. We're out, man. It's been a lovely 90 minutes odd with you lot. One love. Peace.
There's always just that active red line defending. I think it's like there's always just that